Hey Sevens, today we're going through exercise 11G on the area of composite shapes on page 657 of your textbook. So this exercise actually uses a combination of your skills that we've learned over the last couple of lessons. So the areas of rectangles, squares, triangles, parallel, whatever it is. We actually need to combine those skills in order to find the area of composite shapes. So composite shapes are made up of multiple simple shapes. Now, these are actually a lot more common in real life than you think, okay? So typically, obviously, we're familiar with squares and rectangles and triangles, but we often don't see them by themselves. So in real life, or in many situations in the real world, we actually combine different shapes. So for example, in this building over here, I've got a square. Oops, let's use this side actually. I've got a square over here. Oh, sorry, not square, a rectangle. And then I've got a piece of triangle over here. And then I've got triangle over here as well. And then a square, or rectangle, sorry. And you can see that these pieces are actually made up of many different individual pieces as well. Okay? So it's a good idea that we actually understand how to apply our understanding in different situations. So we can actually add or subtract different areas of simple shapes to find the total area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk too long. It's going to be quite a short video. I'm just going to go straight into the examples. So keeping in mind that a composite shape, we're going to split up our shapes into different simple shapes. So over here on the left, I've got find the area of each of these composite shapes. I've got a weird looking shape over here, but you might notice that it actually looks very similar to if I cut it along here. I've got a rectangle on the left-hand side. Let's call that shape 1. And then shape 2 over here, I've got a triangle. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of shape 1 and then find the area of shape 2 and see if we can apply that to find the total area of this composite shape. All right. So let's focus on shape 1. I'm going to call that shape 1. You don't have to call it shape 1. That's just my preference. So shape 1, it's a rectangle. We know it's a rectangle. Rectangle, there we go. I know that my length, remember that the formula for a rectangle is, for the area of a rectangle, sorry, is length times width. I know my length is 9 meters, that's this distance over here. I know that my width is 5 meters, which is from here to here, okay? So based off this, I know that my area equals to length times width, 9 times 5, which gives me 45 meters. And remember, working with area, so 45 meters squared. So this is actually our rectangle. Remember that, okay? So that's our rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Obviously, you don't have to do this. This is just so I can show you exactly where those shapes are. So this green highlighted area is what we've found out to be 45 meters squared. So let's go ahead now and find this blue area there, okay? To find that blue area, let's call that shape 2. Let's cut that off. There we go, shape 2. I'm going to call it a triangle because it's a triangle. Remember that from our previous lessons that the area of a triangle is half times base times height. So I need to find, well, what's my base? So now let's look at it from here. Let's call that my base. I'm going to use a different color pen so we can see. Let's call that our base. And then from here to here, let's call that our height. Okay. Now we actually know that our height is 5 meters because we can see it on the left-hand side over here. It's the same length. It's 5 meters. Okay, now we need to find what the value of our base is, or how long our base is. I know that this from here to here all the way across, let's say there, is 12 meters. But I also know that from here to here is 9 meters, which means it makes sense that the only number or value from here to here, is 3, because 9 plus 3 gives me 12. So I know that my base is 3 meters, okay? So equals 3 meters. From there, I know that base equals to 3 meters. I know that my height equals to 5 meters. And so area equals to half times base, which is 3, times by height, which is 5. I know that to be 7.5 meters squared. So what I'm going to do now is, remember, it's the total area. So I'm going to add them up. I've got 4. Let's highlight that first, actually. Oops. There we go. I've got 45 meters squared from our first shape. And our second shape is 7.5 meters squared, which gives me a total of 52.5 meters squared. Right. Hopefully that makes sense. If it didn't, feel free to go back and pause the video. Let's go over here with looking at our second shape. This one's a little bit different because instead of cutting it up and adding them together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract it. Okay, so I know that this length here is the same as this length there because we've got those weird markings, right? So this has to be also 6 centimeters and this one also 6 centimeters. You can tell that we've got a square and there's a triangle cut out of it. So what we're going to do is going to find the area of the square and cut out the area of the triangle. So the area of a square, remember, is length squared. So this is, let's call this shape 1 and then the triangle shape 2. So I know that the length is 6 centimeters. So my area of my square is, let's call this shape 1 actually, shape 1. The area of shape 1 is 36 centimeters. And really shouldn't be the area of shape 1, it should be the area of the square. Because we're going to take away that. Alright, now let's find the area of shape 2. Because now we've actually got a triangle. And let's call this our base. So that's our base there. We know because it's a square that has to also be 6 centimeters. So remember that the formula for a triangle is base times height. Half times base times height, sorry. So my base is equal to 6 centimeters. My height, they've told me, is actually 4 centimeters. So height is 4 centimeters. So using that, I know my area of my triangle is half times base, which is 6, times by height, which is 4, and gives me an answer of half times 6 is 3, times by 4 is 12 centimeters squared. But we're not done yet. Okay, so before we wanted to add them together, but in this case we're cutting it out, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say square, which is 36 centimeters squared. Oops, I forgot the square there. 36 centimeters squared, and I take away 12 centimeters squared from the triangle. And that gives you an answer of 24 centimeters squared, and that is the area of this composite shape. Hopefully that makes sense. Once again, let me know if you need any help.